Hello and welcome to the Guardian Football Weekly, day 2 of the World Cup, and let the Christian Pulisic loving commence. The US demolished Paraguay, they were relentless from the off, a brace for Balogun, Weston McKennie dominated midfield and Serginho Dest was brilliant on the right. Might they be good? Good. Also today, Canada fight back to draw with Bosnia and Herzegovina. For a lot of the game, it was just Sead Kolasinac just heading everything away and clearing one sensationally off the line. Jesse Marsch made some good changes and the pressure finally paid off. It was the least they deserved. We'll look ahead to tomorrow's games, Scotland, Australia and Brazil all playing, and then to the big stuff, listeners trying to diagnose Barry's ankle injury while has the ham come out? All that plus your questions, and that's today's Guardian Football Weekly. On the panel today, Barry Glendenning, welcome.
Hello.
Our first ever pod for the Guardian US soccer reporter Pablo Maurer. Pablo, hello.
How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Good to have you on. And out in Houston, Seb Hutchinson. Hey, Seb.
Hi, Max.
Yeah,
hi, everyone.
Nice to have you on. Let's begin then with that amazing victory for the USA in LA. 4-1 over Paraguay, the largest margin of victory for the US at a World Cup since 1930, where they beat Paraguay again and Belgium 3-0. They were relentless from the off. Were you expecting that, Pablo?
I mean, yes and no. I think mostly no. My own pregame prediction was 2-2. Paraguay, pretty defensively sound team. Typically, hard-nosed, hard-charging South American team. So no, actually, I'll just be realistic. I'm shocked. I'm completely shocked. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You changed a lot in the last 10 seconds.
I did. I don't know. I was trying to couch it or something. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Where did it come from?
I have no idea. I mean, it is a home World Cup. Obviously, it's a huge crowd at SoFi. The U.S. looked very good in their final tune-up against Germany, but I did not expect that at all. I didn't expect that out of Pulisic. I didn't expect that out of McKennie. Certainly in about. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was fun. It's rare to have fun watching the U.S. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. And would you say the best ever U.S. performance you've seen at a World Cup?
I mean, it has to be. The only thing that would compete would be their opening group stage game in 2002 when they went up 3-0 against Portugal, but they very nearly drew that game. They played a pretty terrible second half, and they played a pretty serviceable second half in this one. So, it has to be the most complete 90 minutes the U.S. has ever played at a World Cup, I think, bar none.
Yeah, Barry, I mean, we have always been big fans of Christian Pulisic on this podcast. Others have doubted him, but we never had. And finally, all that love and praise from us paid off in that first half.
Yeah, he was quite sensational and unplayable. And the fact that the guy who's supposed to be trying to contain him, Caceres, got booked quite early certainly didn't help Paraguay. But Pulisic was the standout player in the first half. But there were so many good American performances. Weston McKennie, Serginho Dest, Anthony Robinson.
Tyler Adams was great.
Tyler Adams, Florian Balogun. They were just rampant. They were the two fullbacks were pressing up high. Runners were getting forward ahead of Balogun, the striker, and just gave them so many options. Midfielders were changing positions at will, and the Paraguayans didn't know how to cope.
Yeah.
I was certainly surprised by this performance. This was the best game of the tournament so far, and this was by a mile the best performance.
Yeah. And we're trying to gauge how might they be good, Seb?
I was caught in two minds. I thought, how far off it are Paraguay here? I was really worried for a second after seeing South Africa in the opening game and then covering an excellent game between South Korea and Czech Republic, and I just thought, Paraguay aside that they've just been completely blown away by the US in this game, but is it more about them? But the more the game went on, I truly believe, I just think the US got it right. I definitely think it's the best performance I've ever seen from them at a World Cup. The game against Portugal from well over 20 years ago was mentioned, but this felt the complete performance from them. Their press was superb. Paraguay couldn't get out. When they tried to go long, they were losing the duels. There were some moments when they had some technical security in forward areas in the US half, but those chances were smothered. And even when Paraguay scored in the second half, the US responded. They could have scored several goals just minutes after they conceded that goal. So I'd like to think it was the US's performance that is the main thing to take from this, because the first 20 minutes, I thought this is one of the worst World Cup performances I've seen from a side. But we have to give the US the credit on this particular occasion.
Yeah, and look, we mentioned Pulisic there, Pablo, but he is the face of this team. You know, he's on a great advert for Wells Fargo with some referees in a cafe, and he brings out a credit card. But he was like, as I said, in that first half, I know he was taken off at halftime. We don't at the moment we don't know why, but like his footwork for that first goal is so good.
I think it's interesting to me. I mean, having spoken with Christian, and really in the last 6 months, obviously he has this extended goal scoring and assist drought. And he was, always be irritated to be asked about it. He'd be irritated to be asked about his confidence, that sort of stuff. He does a bit of an eye roll, that kind of stuff, a little heavy breathing size. And I mean, I really genuinely had doubts about him coming into this tournament. I mean, he's played well in the 2 May games, but I was just blown away, man. It almost is like, like he let his game do the talking, period. But I was surprised, honestly. In the U.S., I mean, they are a good team when their top-level players play well. So they're not a deep enough team to where they can get away with somebody like Christian Pulisic or Chris Richards or Weston McKennie and these other guys having off nights. And when they all have good nights, I mean, they're an exceptionally good team. Obviously, this is a World Cup. You can't really sustain that and get those sorts of performances, 5, 6, 7 games. But tonight was fun.
Yeah, and there was a great moment. They had the hydration break, which we're all finding slightly frustrating. And the US are so dominant. And then you said, there's no way this break doesn't benefit Paraguay. And as you said it, Balogun scored that disallowed goal. It was the timing was perfect.
Yeah.
But then he scored like a second later. And actually, Baz, that was there were 2 brilliant finishes. I don't know who you prefer out of the Balogun one and the Gio Reyna one.
I like both. I think Balogun's was probably the better.
I don't know. But carry on.
Yeah, well, they can both be good.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, Gio's had like more sauce though.
Yeah, I think
it was like
right.
a little more flair.
Yeah. Yeah, the Balogun one, he side-footed home, curled it inside the post after a good cross from Pulisic, who had run onto that long ball from Anthony Robinson. I found it quite funny in this game. I watched, I think, 2 hours of Fox TV coverage in the build-up to the game.
I'm so sorry.
And I was thinking, you could be forgiven for thinking there is only one team playing in this match, because I don't think they mentioned Paraguay at all until they were giving the Paraguay lineup. But then the game started, and there was only one team on the pitch, basically. The Fox coverage is quite something, I have to say.
I really do like, our UK audiences won't be seeing this, but Alexi Lalas is standing next to Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and they are starting some sort of strange, I don't know if it's a bromance. I don't know if Zlatan is just going, what are you talking? I mean, Alexi Lalas a bit, Pablo.
Yeah. I think Fox was pretty calculated putting the two of them together. Two huge personalities. The difference for me is, and I like Alexi as a person. I think he's actually pretty decent at his job too. But Zlatan is Zlatan.
Yeah.
Alexi is a pretty good defender for the U.S. Obviously, Zlatan Ibrahimovic is an all-time great. So there's only so much stick that Zlatan is going to take from Lalas,
Possibly.
Yeah.
We did see Thierry Henry there. Although Alexi Lalas did call James Corden a full kit wanker on live television, and Rebecca Lowe, the British host, was like, I don't think you... Can you say that here?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So we should talk about the Gio Reyna finish, because actually it rounds off this performance, doesn't it? At 3-1, it was a little bit nervy, but they rode that out pretty well. But for that moment, and Gio Reyna's had a pretty checkered time of it in his career. Was that an understatement, Pablo?
Well, yeah. I mean, the first thing he did when he scored the goal was cover his ears.
Of course.
Because he's another one like Christian. If you ask him about what happened in Qatar, nearly got sent home from the tournament, and the whole ensuing thing with the Berhalter stuff, he has just answered it to death to the point where, in May when I saw him at camp, the only question I had for him was, are you tired of being asked about this?
Yeah. It's a good way of asking the same question.
I know,
right?
yeah, exactly. Right. And that's why they pay me the medium bucks, I guess. And I mean, I think you saw that in the celebration, obviously.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like, can we put this to bed?
Yeah.
No, we can't.
No, but Seb, I know you and I bond over beautiful camera angles of beautiful goals, and that from behind Gio Reyna's foot, just as it wasn't quite in the corner. For it to be perfect, it needs to curl from outside the goal in. But let's not take too much away from him in this moment.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was the best goal of the night, obviously, and aesthetically pleasing, and the camera angles always help that. And the thing about Gio Reyna is that he had that one season at Nottingham Forest, which feels people just forget about.
I have forgotten about it.
Because
I forgot
exactly,
about it.
yeah, in these many seasons of being at Dortmund, and for a player who's still only 23, it feels like he's been around for so long. And I felt with this US team coming into this tournament, there's been a lot of debate around how good are they? Do they have the actual elite quality to maybe go deep into the competition? But they certainly seem like, when I see a performance like that today, it's the kind of performance that would cause any team in this competition problems. And if you can, which we're already seeing, use your squad and take advantage. And I've noticed in games already that managers have been taking off important players, even when the game's not won, and replacing them with other players in the squad that you think maybe in a normal game, in a normal conditions for many of these teams, you'd have players that would last the 90 minutes, but they know it's about the starters and the finishers, phrases we've heard in recent years. And this was an example of it. Reina coming off the bench, adding a touch of quality when the opposition's tired and Paraguay don't have the depth that the US have. And this could be key, and it makes the tournament quite unpredictable, actually. And I know none of the favourites have played yet, but there's things I've seen already in this competition that make me quite excited for it and the possibilities of what we might see going forward.
Now, while we were having a delicious Thai red curry cooked by one of us, one of us announced Paraguay are better than people think they are. And who said that?
That was me, Max. And you're doing this thing you do where you mislead listeners by pretending something happened that didn't actually happen in the way you're suggesting.
Do correct me.
Yes. You said, I don't know anything about Paraguay. Can anyone give me a steer?
Yeah.
And I said, I think they're better than people think they are.
Right.
And
it sounds like that's what
you really did a lot with that question. You even tried to get us to admit publicly that you made dinner. Like, are you okay?
and while we're at it, I ate it. It was very nice, but I would have sworn it was a Thai green curry.
Oh, right. Well, it was I mean, potato. I think I'm not.
Well, it was green. It was literally green.
Well, there was a lot of green in it. That's not the point. Paraguay. The question really was they were hopeless in this game, and it's hard to know if they were just bad because the US was so good.
I think that was certainly a factor because their midfielders were completely overrun. They were gesturing and pointing at each other as various Americans zoomed past them, playing at great speed. Zippy little passes, long balls, through balls, overlaps, underlaps, and they just couldn't cope. They were supposed to be. I think people thought they were bad because they stank the place up at the last Copa America, but then Gustavo Alfaro came in, this Argentinian coach. They did really well in South American qualifying. I think they only lost one match away from home. They only conceded 10 goals in 18 games. They've conceded 4 this evening, and they could have conceded a lot more. So I don't know if that's... I suspect they won't be that bad when they play Australia. Who knows how they'll get on against Turkey, but that's a very damaging defeat because they've now got a goal difference of -3, and even the goal they scored, that could be very important to them.
I mean, stating the obvious, too. You give up a goal to any team after 6-7 minutes in the opener of a home World Cup in front of 70,000-80,000 people, you're kind of cooked. It's like, that just did not rise to the occasion after that happened. So
we should talk about the VAR mistaken identity bit because that was quite fun, Pablo, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was actually. It took me a minute to put together what's happening. Right, one of the rule changes to this World Cup is they can use VAR to overturn yellows and reds that are issued to players. That obviously in the case of mistaken identity. But I've always perceived that as like you have a mass confrontation and somebody gets a straight red because somebody punched somebody who turns out it was somebody else. But this was kind of wild. I mean, it was you saw Tim Ream kind of force Miguel Almiron down into the corner. Almiron ran at him. Ream got a little stuck in. Foul ensued. Ream got a yellow, and then the replay obviously was pretty clear that Miguel Almiron took a dive. So in that way, it was a mistaken identity on a yellow card because Almiron deserved the yellow for simulation. But I didn't put it together. It felt very much like a very sort of like loose interpretation of the rules or something. But the more I thought about it, the more sense it made.
By the way, can I say Danny McAlee, when he spoke to the crowd, that's the most decisive I've ever heard a referee. He whacked that out and explained it. Bang, 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 bang.
I think he saw the ref in the Mexico game yesterday really struggling.
Yeah.
He probably was like,
Although-
couldn't be me.
Although I forgot to mention this yesterday, but and Robin Cowan sent me the same text at the same time I put it in the script. It was very weird yesterday to see a ref come out and say after review and not say after review. I was really hoping that ref had a broad northern accent like everyone else. Yeah. Just on Pulisic, Pochettino said after the game he received a kick on his calf, felt tight at the end of the first half. We didn't want to take any risks. It was difficult for him to walk, but hope it's not a big issue. Can be ready for the next one. So well done the US, well done Christian Pulisic, and that'll do for part one. Part two, we'll look back at Canada versus Bosnia and Herzegovina. Welcome to part two of the Guardian Football Weekly. We have live shows in September. 1st of September, Vicar Street in Dublin. 8th of September, Soho Theatre in Walthamstow. As we said yesterday, the good people of New York sold out the show in 5 minutes. So come on, good people of Dublin and London, don't let us down. Just go onto our social media to find out how to get tickets. Canada won, Bosnia and Herzegovina won. I really enjoyed this game, Barry.
Yeah, I thought it was a good game. I thought Canada, I suspect will feel they left it behind them, but they'll be glad to have finally got a point in a World Cup game, I think at their 7th attempt or something like that. I didn't enjoy Michael Bublé singing before the game.
Michael Bublé is a great pronunciation.
Bublé. I'm told. I don't appreciate his work, but I'm pretty sure it's Michael Bublé.
He's Michael Bublé to me.
Not a big Christmas music guy.
I think of all the Canadian male artists they could have had, they picked Michael Bublé.
Yeah, I suppose Michael Christmas Bauble kind of works, doesn't it?
Alanis Morissette, she gave a good stirring rendition of "Oh Canada."
Good stuff.
But yeah, good game. Canada probably should have won. They had far more chances than Bosnia. But will they be happy with a point? They need to win this group to stay in Canada. And obviously that's what they want to do. So this isn't a great start for them, but it could have been worse.
Yeah. I was really impressed actually with that they kept going. They're clearly the better team in this game. But it's hard when you're 1-0 down. You're 1-0 down for a long part of the game. You sort of think it's ebbing away, but they did just keep on keeping on.
I mean, I had to be immensely relieved to get the equalizer at home again, at home in front of a home crowd, home World Cup. I mean, it very quickly could have gone south for them. Enjoyed. I think one of my favorite parts of watching Canada generally is just looking at Jesse Marsch's hyperbolic reactions to everything. Extremely over the top human being and head coach. But no, I mean,
he's slightly strange. I mean, he didn't do brilliantly in the UK, and I think there was a lot of that kind of, here's an American talking about football stuff, Ted Lasso comparisons. But it was interesting on the coverage here that the American pundits didn't like him.
Well, I mean, this comes off what he said yesterday, I guess.
Yeah.
Said that he had to convince American players to sing the national anthem. I just think it's. Look, I don't really care about that. I'm not the most patriotic dude in the world,
Yeah.
But what I will say is I think it's like a rich comment for an American who's coaching the Canadian national team to make. I don't know really how that logic works, but yeah, no, they had to be incredibly relieved.
Yeah.
But if I could just be slightly pedantic, Max,
please do.
I don't think there were Ted Lasso comparisons when Jesse Marsch was at Leeds, because I don't think Ted Lasso was a thing.
Oh, I see.
So he was just a run-of-the-mill incompetent American coach.
Yeah.
Maybe Ted Lasso is the inspiration
for Jesse Marsch.
It's possible, isn't it?
All right.
We should, Barry, talk about Said Kolasinac, who was sort of this one-man hero. It was like the whole of Bosnia on his back as he headed it away.
He was sensational. He played a part in the goal. His was the flick on from which Jovo Lukic nodded home. Bad defending there from Canada. I thought the goalkeeper probably could have done a bit better as well. Maybe I'm being harsh on him, but Istakwai ran out of position from his place at the near post that allowed Kolasinac. He was heading everything away, and then that goal line clearance off the crossbar was quite sensational. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it.
He did keep Larin on though, right?
Yeah.
On Canada's goal.
Oh yeah, he did. Yes.
I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
it's a well-rounded performance.
No, you're very fair. And I don't mean to be pedantic back, Barry, but Ted Lasso first aired in 2020, and Jesse Marsch was at Leeds in 2022, 23.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Okay.
I have a team of producers. I have a team of producers fact-checking these things. They're not against you. They're just checking the facts. So I'd like to point that out. What did you...
I've never known them to check a fact before.
Okay. Are you getting paranoid?
What?
Should have them taste your curry.
What did you make of this game, Seb?
Do you know what stuck out to me? Obviously, Carl Larin, he had a really impressive time of things with Southampton. Obviously, you know what happened with Southampton at the back end of the season. But the 16 games he played in the Championship were part of the reason why they went on the run they did. We know some of the other reasons why. But he was part of the reason why. And I thought that his finish was fantastic.
To be fair, it took a big deflection. So.
Yeah. Not to be pedantic.
Yeah, we do have to be. We're fact-checking everything now. It made me think Kolasinac, if he's able to keep off, armed robbers trying to jack his car with Ozil at that time, I think he can defend some balls into the box from Canada. But yeah, going back to Carl Larin, the other thing that struck me about that game was the stadium. I think something about Toronto Stadium feels very traditional, and that when we think of all the modern grounds obviously used in tournaments like this and these grand NFL stadiums, and then I see the Toronto one, which I know I'm going to be doing a game at soon, I can't wait to go there. It just felt like they were close to the pitch, they were close to the action, and that helps the atmosphere. What's also interesting is people are getting a bit confused about whether stadiums are full or not because of the colour of some of the seats, and obviously with some of the teams playing. So I think some people thought there were a lot more empty seats than they were in the South Korea game, but that's because South Korea read red. Same with this in the Canada game. I saw people saying there were a lot more empty seats than they were, and just people wearing red shirts. So the aesthetics for a World Cup are so important, because as time goes on, you'll look back at those tournaments, and the way they look will be a big part of the reason why you remember them so well.
I mean, if you go do a game there, it is a fantastic stadium, but make sure you climb to the top of the temporary modular seating they've installed at one end of it. It's really the most terrifying view in all of global football. Whatever you do, don't look over the back railing. It's like get vertigo.
And we should give Jesse Marsch some credit, because he made a triple change, didn't he, on the hour mark, which actually made quite a big difference. So well done to him for that. And there was this moment where, and I'm definitely in the minority here in the studio, I don't know what you think, Barry, who was through? It's Vasil was
Tani Oluwasil.
Oluwasil was through, and the keeper came out and punched the ball and then caught him. On the BBC coverage, Wayne Rooney thought it was a red. Darren Cann, the former Premier League assistant referee, said the ref got it right. You think... I felt at the time it wasn't a red card, but Barry and Pablo, you certainly disagree with me.
I think it would have been an unfortunate red card for Vasilic, because I don't think there was any malice in his action, but when he punched the ball, he followed through with both fists and punched the Canadian player in the head with both fists. Now, if that was a slide tackle and he followed through with his foot or both feet, he would be off. I don't see how there is any difference in doing that with his hands.
I entirely agree. I mean, I'd say if the risk you take if you don't pull out of that challenge is that you get a red if you happen to punch the dude in the face with both of your hands, which is what happened. I don't necessarily think it was intentional, but I think it's a very clear red card for me.
I think he would have been very unlucky, but I'm baffled that Darren Cann thinks it was the referee's decision. I didn't want to see him get sent off,
No.
but I'm baffled that a former Premier League assistant referee thinks that isn't a red card.
If Wayne Rooney is siding with the goalie.
It's a slightly odd group, isn't it, with Qatar and Switzerland, Baz, to sort of know, sort of as you were in a way, I guess.
Yeah, Qatar, Switzerland, that's the first game tomorrow, our time. It isn't one I've marked in my diary as, unmissable, but I will watch it. Obviously, Canada and Bosnia and Herzegovina will be hoping they draw as well, I guess. And Canadians have Qatar next. They should win that. Bosnia and Herzegovina has the Swiss. That's a tough assignment. So if Canada beat Qatar, they're into the next round. And their main objective will be to stay in Canada. On
the subject of Canada, Thomas Partey's been denied entry to Canada, will not be available for Ghana's first World Cup game in Toronto on Wednesday. He was charged with 5 counts of rape and 1 count of sexual assault in July 2025 by the Metropolitan Police, pleaded not guilty. He now plays for Villarreal. He was subsequently charged with 2 new counts of rape in February, also pleaded not guilty. He was allowed to enter the US with the rest of Ghana's squad on the 4th of June. Has been a training camp in Boston. They're in the same group as England. Kick-off against Panama. In a statement on Friday, FIFA confirmed that his visa application had been rejected by the Canadian government. Rob Harris from Sky News reporting that US authorities said the US is aware of the pending court case for Mr. Partey. However, at the time, he has not been convicted of a crime and was admitted to the US after being issued a visa. Because the court proceedings are active in the UK, we can report what's happened, but we can't discuss the story.
If Ghana had done even the most perfunctory bit of research into Canadian immigration guidelines, they would have known this was almost certainly going to happen.
All right. Well, that'll do for part 2. Part 3, we'll look ahead to tomorrow's games. Welcome to part 3 of the Guardian Football Weekly. So Qatar, Switzerland, Brazil, Morocco, Haiti, Scotland, and Australia, Turkey. There are some big games. We've touched on Qatar, Switzerland, not the biggest game of the day, which, Seb, I'd say Brazil, Morocco is almost the first really big game we have in this tournament, right?
Yeah, and we've been waiting for a game like this between a side who's considered one of the favourites. I know a lot of people are writing Brazil off, but I think you have to keep them in that mix, taking on one of Africa's best sides, let's put it frankly. And these are always the games when World Cups come in the group stage, and you're looking forward to a few of these. I mean, we have another one this weekend in Japan against the Netherlands. That's another example of that. This is going to be fascinating. I don't know what to make of this one. I can't really even make a prediction. Usually history tells us that, Brazil will win this 2-0 and Morocco will miss some big chances. But it's hard to read this Brazil side because, to be frank, we haven't seen enough of them. And often with Brazil, they have obviously a large diaspora of players and big pool of players. But we're every tournament that passes in my life, you get more and more surprised by some of the names that are in the squad. And so now you wonder and you think, how good actually are they? Will they put it together? That unknown thing that ticks and it might. I don't have expectations from Brazil, and I've always had expectations from Brazil. This might be the first tournament where I don't have the expectation, and that makes me think they'll probably go deep into the tournament because that's the way football works.
Yeah. How do you see it, Baz?
It's a hard one to call. I suspect Brazil will probably win it. I am looking forward to it immensely because Morocco are a very, very good side. But I can't call this one. But the thing about this extended competition is, even if either of them lose, it doesn't really matter. So that is what annoys me about these group stages.
Because of the way they've seeded it, and they put these top 4 seeds in to avoid each other, all the way to the semi-finals. There might be some planning ahead. If you're a side and thinking, right, you're looking at your route ahead perhaps, and maybe there is some jeopardy in that, perhaps, who you might face.
Coming second or third, I don't know.
For example, if England finish second in their group, all of a sudden they're on a really hard side of the draw, so you can't throw any games away, or you can't rest on any games per se. That I'm giving something to the format.
We were talking about today after the I see that U.S. performance, and I'm like, if I'm a U.S. fan, I'm thrilled by it. At the same time, it takes so much juice out of the last 2 games. I understand they're still playing to win the group, obviously, but I'd like to practically qualified at this point. It's just like. I hate this. I mean, they should pretty much just go to 64 teams at this point if they're going to do something like this.
We'd make the previews long.
Yeah, that's true, right? Yeah.
Scotland begin their first World Cup since 1998 against Haiti, and obviously because Brazil and Morocco are in their group, Barry, and we've talked about it before. Like it's a big game for them. That they've got. I mean, they should be confident, right? You've done some Haiti research, and I don't want to write them off, but Scotland have to win this game.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a presumption Haiti are going to be rubbish, and I don't know enough about them. I didn't know Wilson Isidore, famously didn't know Wilson Isidore played for them. This is Scotland we're talking about. They have a history of hilarious defeats against opposition that should have no business beating them. I don't think the Scotland players of this vintage are going to carry that baggage into the World Cup, but it's always there, hovering in the background. Clearly don't know enough about them to know whether they're going to pose Scotland too many problems. But I am slightly worried about this presumption everyone seems to have that they're going to be useless. They must have something about them. I did notice they've been forced to, very late by FIFA, to change their jerseys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for political speech.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Oh, yes, because it has an old war from the 1800s.
The Netherlands.
Yeah,
stuff on it,
some revolution from the 1800s was depicted in silhouette on a section of their jersey, so they've had to scramble to get new kit on the eve of the game, which is aggravation I'm sure they could have done without. And I suspect they're probably the only team in the tournament who have a former Oldham player.
Andy Ritchie.
Lionel Joseph. Right.
I mean, look, I will say about Haiti, and I hate to paint with too broad a brush, but they're a team from CONCACAF. It's like you are going to have to deal with a bit of the dark arts. They're going to be an extremely scrappy, borderline violent team. That's the way that teams from that region, play. Generally, that's not like a. I'm not stereotyping. The United States plays that way occasionally. They'd probably be better had they played more that way in past years, But there is a reason that Haiti, through sheer force of will, qualified for this tournament. So I wouldn't overlook them.
Yeah.
I just name-checked Lionel Joseph.
Yes, I didn't know who that was.
I meant to say Roger Joseph.
Roger Joseph, of course.
The former Oldham player is their goalkeeper, Johnny Placide.
Right. Okay.
I hope I've got that pronunciation.
We're so far in the weeds at this point.
I want to look deeper into this Haiti shirt story, because this seems quite extraordinary that they don't want them to wear something that honours something from 200 years ago, which is the Haitian Revolution, which was a big historical moment, actually. But that seems a long time ago to be an issue, does it not?
I feel they were forced to change their shirts to the Olympics too, I believe, as well. So there's some precedent for this or something like that. But yeah,
I mean, how far back do you go? I mean,
yeah, it's very true. Right?
Well, I suppose we couldn't. What if England had? I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, what does the George's Cross represent?
Well, that's a good point.
See what I mean?
No, that is true. What does it? I should know. I guess it's the Crusades.
Well, a lot of flags have colours that they do because of wars in the past. Red is a common colour because of bloodshed in war. And
football unifies the world. Gianni told us it unifies the world, so that's fine. Australia, Turkey, yes, which is the late kickoff. And look, I don't know what the US want from this game really now. Just put sort of a board draw. Like Australia are dogged, and as I was saying to you earlier, they could draw 0-0 against anyone.
Yeah. I mean, I think a draw is an ideal result out of this game. But I'm actually just curious to watch them. I mean, they do seem very much like what I would have expected out of South Africa yesterday, before they just ended up being absolutely horrifically bad. I expected more of what you're talking about, sort of destroy the game, dogged effort, just be difficult for any opponent. I am very curious to see them against a pretty good Turkey side.
Bit of England. Thomas Tuchel says he has 14 or 15 players in mind to start their game against Croatia. Bellingham set to start. John Stones is set to start over Mark Gay with Ezri Konsa. Hopes that Saka is fit. The big story, Barry, is that they've had some equipment stolen from their base.
Welcome to America, baby.
Match boots. Some people nicked all the balls except one, which sort of. At least they left
nice
them.
Exactly. You're welcome.
Left them one.
Yeah.
Don't steal things. We shouldn't be laughing.
I've just checked. Lionel Joseph
Yeah.
is a character from Trading Places.
Is that right? Well done. Yeah, it's a good movie. Ben wrote on Twitter, Seb, I don't know if you saw this, regards your commentary yesterday. Seb Hutchinson explaining diags during South Korea-Czechia at 3:22 a.m. I don't think there's any casuals watching, brother. How does it feel? Is it hard to sort of know you're commentating in the day for you, but at these weird hours to the UK?
It is funny. In fact, as soon as I challenged Andros on that, I did think to myself straight away, I know fully well the type of people who are up at this time. They know what diag means, absolutely. But it's the way when you're broadcasting on ITV, for example, you do have to lay these things out because you never know who is watching. There's lots of different. It's such a broad audience, and that's what makes it so different to when you're commentating for, say, Sky Sports. But that definitely crossed my mind as I said it, and it did make me laugh. And there is that weird thing where at the start of the game you realise what time it is, and you're thinking, half my mates aren't watching this. And when they get up in the morning, they'll probably, put on the highlights and then forget about it quickly. But you always remember there are people out there that are up for this, and they're up and they're awake, and their name is usually Lars. That's there's people up at that time.
That's a very good point. Now, Pablo, you were with Wilson in Mexico last night. Is it your fault he was so miserable on the pod yesterday? Everyone was like, "Oh, cheers, Guardian. Way to bring us down on day one of the World Cup."
I think all we did was complain about the lack of wireless internet. I do think at some point, I also enjoyed. There's a giant FIFA exploding sign that hangs over the field in these games, and I think at some point. We were just wondering whether it might just stay there or potentially fall and injure somebody. So I think things were getting dark. He bolted at halftime to go find functional wireless to file a gamer. So, but no, he didn't seem in his best in the best mood. But neither was I. So
okay,
it's fine.
Fair enough. Wilson will be back, more chipper, no doubt. Sean writes, "Dear Max, Barry, and everyone, I may be barking up the wrong tree, but when I heard Barry talking about the hill he failed to take as of yet, I felt I knew exactly where you boys are staying. West Hollywood, of course. The hill is the corner of Redacted, and you're likely staying at the Redacted." We can't give away exactly where we're staying. I recently stayed there myself, visiting while my wife was on an extended work trip in LA. She worked, and I had a marvellous time gadding about the place. There's complimentary morning coffee near the gym, which Max may have noticed if he really went to the gym. More importantly, there's an excellent little boozer nearby, Barney's Beanery. Well worth a visit, but that hill back 9 pints deep is no joke. Can you confirm that or deny that?
I can confirm.
You can. Even more importantly, you're not far from the Viper Room, the Whiskey A Go-Go, and especially the Rainbow Grill, home to Lemmy's Lounge. I'm sure you're both way too busy for any extracurricular activity. I thought I'd give you both, i.e. Barry, the heads up.
I've already walked past the Viper Room, and which is just across the street from Whiskey A Go-Go. Youngblood is playing there at the moment.
Oh, right. Are they good?
It's a bloke.
Okay. Is he good?
Not really my cup of tea.
Fair enough.
Is
he loud?
Very loud, Max.
Right,
yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
You wouldn't like him.
Okay.
Can I use your pool? Have you seen that pool?
Yeah, of course.
You're welcome anytime. Tomorrow morning. Yeah.
Goddard Senior on Instagram was watching one of our videos, Barry. I think where I was filming you making a ham sandwich, and he said, "I'm reading East of Eden by John Steinbeck." And at the start of chapter 10, he says, "When two men live together, they usually maintain a kind of shabby neatness out of incipient rage at each other. The two men alone are constantly on the verge of fighting, and they know it." How do you think we're doing on day, what is this? Day 2 of the World Cup, but day 4 of living together.
I don't think we're on the verge of fighting.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Are we sure about that?
Nothing else to add?
Jesus Christ.
I'm having a nice time. Anyway, there is good stuff happening on all our socials. You can follow Football Weekly on TikTok and TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Reddit. Today was Barry making a ham sandwich. I did quite an arty shot of the sandwich itself. Although someone did tell me off, I picked up a bit of the sandwich to show the ham.
You touched my sandwich.
I did touch your sandwich, yeah. I'm sorry, I did it for the art.
You crossed a couple of boundaries here. You came into my room to film a diary without asking permission.
Mm-hmm, noted.
And then you touched my sandwich.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't do those things.
Don't touch a man's sandwich.
Never touch a man's meat.
No.
You can cut that out, right?
No, yeah, that seemed too far, Pablo.
Yeah, that's fine.
I thought there were diagnoses of my
oh,
leg
yes,
injury.
actually, no, people did get in touch. I haven't got their names now. Some people wonder if it's sciatica. We've had plantar fasciitis.
It's not plantar fasciitis.
Right, noted, okay.
Jacob Steinberg suggested it might be
right?
that, but it isn't.
No, I told you to do some calf stretches.
Yeah, and then I read another thing that said, whatever you do, do not do calf stretches. So I don't know what to do. So if anyone's got any helpful suggestions, I'd really love to hear them because it's becoming a problem.
Is it?
You're in America. We just take all our medical advice from Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Okay,
or Dr. Oz. Consult the Surgeon General on that, you know.
Anyway, that'll do for today. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Seb. Have fun in Houston.
Thank you.
Cheers, Pablo.
Thank you very much.
Come again. Thanks, Barry.
Thank you.
Football Weekly is produced by Rory Simon. Our executive producer is Joel Grove. Back tomorrow.